All right, hi everybody. Even though we explained this piece of the Gemara as a summary, summarize this piece, I want to be able to read it into the words and make sure we're all on the same page as we continue to build this sugya. So let's just get the back and forth over here for a moment. Here we go. Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa said, Lo daika matnitin, our Mishnah doesn't fit well, ella o kishmuel, o Rabbi Yochanan. Our Mishnah, the words of our Mishnah only fit according to Shmuel or according to Rabbi Yochanan. In other words, it does not fit according to Rav. Rav's opinion was that there are, again, Jimmy puts little pictures all around my house, and I have really nowhere else to walk. So the Mishnah does not fit according to Rav. De'i kirav, for if the Mishnah was according to Rav, my arya nitkal, why does it specify, why is the Mishnah's case about tripping? Afilu shavar nami. Even if I actively smash the barrels or the pitchers, I should be patur. So why would the Mishnah say, oh, only if it was an accident, I'm patur? Again, I was explaining this to a few groups in the Zoom rooms yesterday, in the breakout rooms. Mishnahs are typically going to give the biggest chiddush, meaning the most surprising teaching a Mishnah will give. If I have a choice between saying, hey, you're patur if it was an accident, or you're patur if it was on purpose, the bigger chiddush is that you're patur even if you did it on purpose. So why would the Mishnah choose to give the less surprising idea that, hey, you're only patur if it was by accident? Again, according to Rav, where Jimmy put little pictures all over the place, I wouldn't just be patur if I tripped over them. I would be patur even if I actively smashed them. So why did the Mishnah only teach it as tripping, not as smashing? So from that, Rav Papa says, because of that, the Mishnah doesn't fit according to Rav. Can always take it back to Rav. The Mishnah doesn't fit according to Rav, because if Rav was right, the Mishnah's case wouldn't have been tripping. The Mishnah's case would have been, hey, even if you actively smash those vessels, you'd be patur. The fact the Mishnah didn't say shavar means that the Mishnah does not fit according to Rav. But comes Rav Zavid to the rescue. Rav Zavid defends Rav. Amar Rav Zavid mishmei de Rava. Rav Zavid said in the name of Rava, Hu hadin deafilu shavar. No, the Mishnah can fit according to Rav because, yes, it's true. It's true. The same law would apply. The same law would apply in the Reisha case of the Mishnah, even if you smashed it. It's true. It's true. Not only if I trip over it and break it, and break those pitchers in my patur, even if I smash them, I'm patur. Okay, but then why did it give the case as tripping, not smashing? V'hai diktani nitkal, and the reason why the Mishnah's case was about tripping, Aidi debae lematni seifa, is because debae, it wanted to teach me the second case of the Mishnah, the later case, the seifa. It wanted to align the language in the two cases. Because what was the case of the seifa? The im huzakba, again, keep the case there. All these pictures are on the ground, and I walk out of my house. So if I trip over it, I'm patur. The chiddush here says Rav Zavid, even Rav would agree that, and the Mishnah would agree, even if I smash them, I'm patur. But v'im huzakba, but if I got injured, if I was damaged by these pitchers, the Mishnah says, Bal Chavir Chayav Benisko. The owner of the pitchers will be Chayav, or the barrels will be Chayav to pay me nezek. So when is that true? When is that seifa case true? That seifa case is true didavka nitkal, specifically when I tripped over the barrels. Only then, if I tripped over the barrels and the barrel came and hurt me, only then would the owner, Jimmy, be chayav to pay me. Aval shavar, but if I smash the barrels, lo, Jimmy doesn't have to pay me anything. Even if, like Rav said, there are pitchers all over the place. If I tripped over them and I hurt myself, Jimmy will be chayav. But if I go with a baseball bat and start smashing these pitchers because I'm so upset at this practical joke, Jimmy's not going to be chayav. My tama, why not? What's the reason? Why would Jimmy be patur in that situation? Because hu de'azik anafshe. Jimmy would have damaged himself. Jimmy would have damaged himself. Ktani reisha nitkal. So since the seifa, since that second case of the Mishnah has to be a situation where I tripped, only then is Jimmy chayav when I tripped over it. It can't be talking about shavar. Since the seifa must be talking about nitkal, the tripped, the reisha also, the first case also uses as its example where I tripped over these barrels. Even though, yes, it's true, the reisha could have been taught as shavar according to Rav, but Rav we can still say the Mishnah follows Rav. And the reason why the reisha used the phrase nitkal is to align with the seifa case, which has to be talking about nitkal. If I bring out my trusty diagram, and you can look at my wonderful computer over here, but my nitkal shavar diagram that I made before, right? This is the reisha over here. The nitkal ba v'shivra patur. I tripped over the vessels and I broke them. I am patur, right? Jimmy is, I tripped over them and broke them. I am patur. I am patur. Well, one second. Based on Rav's case, forget the nitkal ba. I could erase this. Because even if I just started smashing them, I should also be patur. Why does the Mishnah give the case that I tripped over it? Must be that Rav doesn't fit according to this Mishnah. No. Says Rav Zavid, Rav does fit with the Mishnah. Because even though it's true that this reisha case, it could have been where I smashed these vessels, I'd be patur, the Mishnah could have still chosen to teach this law as if I tripped over it, because to align with the Mishnah. Because the seifa, the second case of the Mishnah, needs to be about tripping, the reisha, the first case, is also expressed as one of tripping. The second case has to be about tripping, because only if I tripped over it and hurt myself would Jimmy be chayav. If I smash them, Jimmy would not be chayav. So the second case has to be nitkal, has to be a case of tripping. So the Mishnah was also written with the first case as if it was about tripping, even though, yes, it would have been true if they would have taught that first case if it was actively smashing. So it is a little tricky, it's a little back and forth, but ultimately you are teaching this and you're explaining this, how the Mishnah might not work according to Rav, but then it does fit according to Rav. Okay, that's the main thing I wanted to go over. Very briefly, the second thing. We had two groups of opinions then in this Gemara. We had Rav, Shmuel, and Rabbi Yochanan that all basically say, let's go back to the Reisha for a second. V'nitkal ba v'shivra patur, right? I tripped over it, I'm patur. Why? Rav, Shmuel, and Rabbi Yochanan would say, actually, normally you would be chayav because ibai le liyune. People have to watch where they're going. It's only because there's some weird shtick going on over here that the Mishnah says you're patur. But this category, all agree, ibai le liyune. People need to check where they're going. And normally, if I trip over someone's thing and break it, I'm chayav. If you put your iPad out in front of me, I think it was Danny that connected this back to that original iPad case we had. But if you put the iPad on the chair and I sit and smash it, or I step on it and I break it, and it's a normal situation, Rav, Shmuel, Rabbi Yochanan, all of them would say you're chayav. Again, our mission says patur only because there was something really weird going on. The threshold of responsibility was lowered because it was dark, there was pranks, all sorts of stuff. But normally, ibai leili yune, I need to watch where I'm going. But then we learned at the end of class yesterday the second opinion, and that was Rav Ula, who says no. Lefi she'ein darkan shel bnei adam litzbonen b'drachim. This is a different concept, that people don't normally look where they're going. People don't look where they're going. When I'm walking, I'm looking ahead of me. I'm not looking down. I'm looking straight. And therefore, when the Mishnah says, V'nitz kal ba v'shivra patur, I don't have to come up with some fancy, wild answer. Normally, it's a normal case. But I'm patur, lefi she'ein darkan shel bnei adam litzbonen b'drachim. People don't look where they're going. So in other words, we have a concept showdown. On the one side, in this corner, we have the opinions of Rav, Shmuel, and Rabbi Yochanan that say, Ibai leili yune. People need to watch where they're going. When you're looking down, people are supposed to expect to look where they're going. And they are chayiv if they break things. On the other hand, we have Rav Ula that says, no, people don't really watch where they're going. So it's a fight. I'm curious where you all stand. You'll see a question on this for you to reflect on a little bit. Which of these two opinions fits with your personal understanding? Which of these two opinions fits with your Gemara understanding so far? Is it true that Ibai Leiliune, people should watch where they're going when they're stepping somewhere? Or no, people don't normally look down when they're walking, and they should be patur. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. We're going to analyze this more over the next couple days in Shir. Holy chevra, good learning.